Hello there and welcome to my very first vlogcast. Now this is going to be a little bit of an experiment for the channel. Basically, as the name suggests, like a podcast where you sit and listen to somebody, these vlogcasts are just going to be me chatting about stuff. It's going to be very kind of off the cuff, and I'll be covering things that I can't easily cover in a more traditional vlog. So there's going to be very minimal editing. I'm not going to worry too much about how it all sounds. It's going to be very rough and ready, and let's just see how it goes. If you like this this new style of vlogcast, please let me know in the comments below. And equally, if you don't like it, please also let me know. And if there's something that you'd like me to cover, please tell me that, and I'll do my best to make a film about it in the future. So for the first of these vlogcasts, I'm going to talk about something that everyone's concerned about at the moment, and that's the current coronavirus outbreak. Now, unless you've been living under a rock for the past few weeks, you'll know exactly what that is. At the moment, there's a flu-like virus spreading across the world, infecting people, and for the most part, people are surviving, but there have been a few deaths, and they've been mainly amongst the elderly or with people that have underlying health issues. Now, it's quite an extraordinary time because it's like we're living in the plot of some apocalyptic sci-fi film. So a bit like The Strain, or one of my personal favourite films, 12 Monkeys, although it doesn't quite have the time travel element, unfortunately. Now, at the moment, many countries around the world are in lockdown. I know Italy has been particularly affected, but here in the UK, things are more or less normal. I went out on the bike yesterday and I rode through one of the local towns that would have been relatively busy at that time of day, and it was eerily quiet. And if you go down to the supermarket, there aren't quite so many products on the shelves and things, but you can still buy stuff. And yesterday, our Prime Minister Boris Johnson warned against all unnecessary travel and going to places of mass gatherings. So he advised against going to things like pubs, clubs and theatres and so on. But having said that, the country seems to be running more or less normally. Now, obviously, this raises the question for us cyclists: how safe is it to cycle during these this corona outbreak? Now, if you've been watching the news, you'll know that many sporting events have been cancelled. So, for instance, the Giro d'Italia has been cancelled due to the coronavirus. But that's more, as far as I'm aware, that's been more to do with the mass gathering of people rather than cycling having an inherent risk to it. Now, I'll preface all of this by saying that I'm not a medical expert, and I've got no medical training whatsoever, so I don't quite understand what's happening. But as far as I'm aware, I think that cycling out in the countryside by yourself is pretty safe. If you think about it, you are kind of self-isolating yourself. You're riding on your own and you're not coming into contact with too many people, if anybody at all. And again, as far as I'm aware, the virus doesn't survive very well in the air. It survives better on surfaces. So if you're not actually touching any of those surfaces, then you probably won't have a high risk of contracting the coronavirus itself. So yeah, I would say that riding out by yourself in the countryside, your risk of contracting the coronavirus is pretty low, if not practically zero. The other side, of course, to taking regular exercise by cycling is that it does build your immune system. So obviously, in a time of an infection, having a strong immune system can only be a good thing. The downside, though, is that if you push yourself a little bit too hard, your immune system is weakened slightly for a few hours after your ride. So that's the time that you need to be particularly careful. Now, as I understand it, Italy has completely banned all forms of cycling, even recreational cycling. And as far as I'm aware, that's not down to the inherent risk of cyclists being open to the infection. I think that has more to do with the strain being placed on the health system if that cyclist should have an accident. But I think that's something that you will personally have to kind of take into account yourself when you're going out on your ride, and you'll have to balance up the benefits of actually going out cycling against the risk of having an accident. But that's something that we as cyclists do pretty much every time we go out on the road. Now, obviously, we do have to be a little bit sensible about things and take the advice that the powers that be are giving us. But having said that, I personally plan on riding outside on the road on my bike for as long as I possibly can. And if I continue doing that, one of three things are going to happen. Either the risk of the virus is going to go down, in which case, happy days, or the government here in the UK will ban all unnecessary travel and kind of put people on a quarantine at home, in which case I'll have no choice but to go out into the garage and use the turbo trainer. And lastly, and I hope this doesn't happen, I'll end up being infected and going down with the coronavirus myself, in which case all I can do is just kind of recover from it, and then hopefully things will get back to normal once I've recovered. Now, the good news is that this coronavirus outbreak will blow over. It's just a question of how long it's going to take and what we as human beings have to do to make that happen. So yeah, there is some good news. It's not all doom and gloom. We just have to sit tight and take care of ourselves. Thanks for watching.